Now, the last time we got to work on Vlad's BENELLI, we had done this recreation of a part that was missing, and that's on part 2, I believe. Now, there's still some work to do on that fairing, and it's all, actually, every part of this job is turning out to be a lot of labor. But today's the day we're going to be able to do some preparation on it. Now, there's two things. We have to get rid of this big gouge, and this is quite a big gouge. I'd like not to do it with Bondo. I'd like to do it with carbon fiber, as I've done all this. If you notice, there is no Bondo anywhere on this repair. And then I would also like to, and it's going to be pretty labor intensive, and I don't know how easy it's going to be. I want to wet sand this decal off without going down into the raw plastic any more than I have to. So that'll be quite a challenging day if I can get both of those things done. Now, a big gouge like this, to be honest, most people, or body shops or whatever, they would just trowel on some Bondo and that's the end of it. Well, and if you've ever noticed, if you go to cruise night and stuff like that, you notice a lot of those Bondo things, as time goes by, they dry out and crack. Well, this is a way, and I'm going to show this a little way again, as I've showed some of the other stuff, the way I've had incredibly good luck doing body work on these antique motorcycles. And there's no reason to think this isn't an antique motorcycle. What I'm going to do, I've already roughened this area up. Actually, it was pretty rough to begin with. I'm going to take some thick CA. There's no secret to how they're going to do this, because the repair will be carbon fiber and CA when we're done. And I'm going to stretch a piece of this into the crack. Doesn't have to be even. Doesn't have to be real pretty at this point in time. Then I'm going to take some thin, put the thin right on top. Come on baby, take a Q-tip. And I'll try to show this on a macro lens, although I don't know if we're going to have real luck with that macro lens. This takes a minute or so to kick off. But what this means is this repair will be solid material. It will not be oatmeal or Bondo or whatever. And we'll just let that sit. Now again, this is glue. It's actually glued in place. What I'm going to do now, the advantage of carbon fiber too, carbon fiber cuts. When you sand it, it cuts. And Kevlar doesn't. And Kevlar and e-glass, forget about it. But carbon fiber has that unique quality of it cuts and blends down to a millionth of an inch, so it makes for great body work if you're willing to spend the time and energy. Well, we got this piece. We're going to have to do this in 2 layers, obviously, but let's cut this off. Now we're almost down there. In fact, I don't think we're going to need a second layer. I'm just going to fill that with some CA. But this can be, I'll show this up close in fact. When I'm done block sanding, and you wouldn't want, you'd see this is one thing you would never want to do, is just take sandpaper and it'll just make, you know, Atlantic City waves. But if you use a block, the block will allow it to conform. And I thought if I showed this in real time, this is something an awful lot of people get a gouge in a fairing, and assuming you want to do it yourself. And I know there's a lot of ways to do this. I know you can do the Bondo thing, and problem with Bondo, these parts move, they're live. And Bondo isn't live. It is. Now, when I show this, I think you'll be kind of impressed with how nice It almost is down. Now it's not quite down yet. But it's coming up on, and we're going to be there very soon. We're actually going to be there very soon. Now, with the dust that's still on there, I could take some more thick. And this is a very good trick, by the way. You let that sit for 30 seconds or whatever. Take an old piece of sandpaper. In this case, we're going to sand. And as we make dust, the dust is going to be like concrete. It's going to fill that right up. And it's going to be self-leveling because what sticks up above the gouge, in essence, is going to be just sanded back down into the low spot. So if we do this 2 or 3 times, we're going to wind up with a very solid repair. And then all the time we're going to put into the paint work. See, the problem is you put in X amount of hours into the paint work, and if the Bondo or the body work underneath it isn't reliable, you pretty much just wasted your time. Now, I'm never quite sure if our macro lens is working, but the way I finished off this body work is I don't look at it. And because I've done it all with a block, a hard block, there's no way, if you close your eyes, you cannot feel where that is. And it's rock hard. It's not going to ever come out. So I'm real happy with the way that played out. And that was something that, now imagine, you put in all the time that it takes to do we're going to have to sand this whole part down, prime it, paint it, all the money for the paint. Now forget about the labor too. There's going to be a lot of money just tied up in the paint. And when you're all done, you hit the first bump, the first dead mouse in the road, and chunk. And I have seen that happen. Now this one I know is never going to break. I put a lot of time into. I put a whole day into that. This one I know, I feel confident about it. I feel confident that all the tabs we repaired are going to be fine. And now the next thing, and this is going to be a biggie. And I'm waiting. I was trying to think of some way. See, I don't want to use paint remover on this. That's for sure. And what they did is they put the clear up on top of the decal. So what's going to happen? As we sand through the decal, we're going to hit the glue. It's going to get messy and disgusting. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just wet sand this. And then I'm hoping I can maintain some kind of smooth finish. I don't wind up with something like that. And then when that's done, I need to resand the whole part. And then I'll pretty much be ready for some prime. And I may get some of that done. I may get all of it done today. I don't know. We never know when our grandson is going to just pop over. So what I thought I'd try first, I'm not so sure which of these systems is going to work. I took some 180 to heavy duty sandpaper, and I just started seeing just how much clear is on the bike. You never know. The clear, of course, powders right off. And a hard block. Now I know Vlad has a brand new decal for this, so there's no way I could salvage this, given that we're going to have to do so much repair work on this. This was just going to be a losing proposition. So we'll sand it off. It'll probably take, well, it looks like there's a lot of clear on this. Take a lot of time. It won't matter, but we don't want to get any ripples into this part. It's in a part that it's going to be a focal point of the bike, and I don't want to have any imperfections if I can help it. Now I may as well see if wet sanding this is any better. You never know. Because who knows what kind. This might even be some European-based paint or something. You know, it's coming right off. But I think I'm going to try wet sanding it. This is pretty funny. I don't know if it came out on the video or not, but you heard that? It looked kind of like an earthquake going on. Well, what that was is the laundry was offset in the washing machine, and boy, it was making a racket. I was worried we were under a terrorist attack here. All right, so now it winds up, we're going to have this white vinyl BENELLI decal at some point in time. And again, like a lot of things, it just, doing something the right way always takes a little more time. And maybe you could take a belt sander and sand this off, but then if you go into the plastic all unevenly, I don't know. Where I know this is the devil, I know. Once I get down through the vinyl, I'm literally sanding the vinyl here. And once it goes, I've done this on some of Luciano's bikes too, so I know this is the devil we know. There goes the vinyl. Bye-bye vinyl. Let me see if I get this on a macro lens here. This might be interesting to see up close. I don't know, our macro lens, you know. Keep in mind, Steven Spielberg doesn't have this problem. But let's see if this will show without. We're through all the ink, and we're basically into the vinyl. There goes the vinyl right now. And we got a Benelli. There's no E on the Benelli. The Benelli. And this will leave us, once we get through the glue, we're not through the glue yet. Once we get through the glue here. Oh, bye-bye Benelli. Bye-bye Benelli. There we go. So once you get through that, you're going through the 3 layers, the clear, the ink, and the final thing. Now see, from this point on, you probably could heat gun it off, but I'm not going to fool around. I'm just going to sand the rest of it down like that. And hope that the laundry doesn't blow up in my face. Now at this point, I got to be super careful to get all the glue off. I can't leave any of the glue on there, even though the vinyl came right off. That's not the issue. The issue is we don't want to have any. And who knows in Italy what they use for glue? Pizza pies or pepperoni or something. Who knows? So I know I had trouble with, and I can't remember it was Vlad's Moto Guzzi, I think. I don't remember. So one of them getting the decals off. The glue they used was like, holy mackerel. Anyway, we want to get this down to where we know the paint's going to stick. We're not going to have a problem. And then when we put the new decal on, we're not going to have some waviness to it. It's all at this point, all sanded with a block. Let's see how this is coming out. All right, and this is what I wanted. Everything to be feather edged in. See, anywhere that it's not feather edged in. That laundry was pretty cool before. Look at atomic war going on here. Woke me right up. All right, so now we have that all feathered in, and that's fine. Okay, so now we've de-Benelliized it. Okay, now the next step is we want to sand the whole part down. Now this, of course, is going to be a time-consuming, labor-intensive part. I've already had the parts degreased before I started working on them. So hopefully there isn't a lot of grease. If there was, you want to get the grease off before you do this step. And even at this point, I want to do as much as I can with the block, because these parts are not really perfect, and this will help get nice flats and nice angles on everything while I'm doing it, as long as I'm going to spend the time. And we're pretty much done with the bodywork here. And you never know when you're going to, until you paint it, you never know if you've got all of the stuff. Even the primer doesn't show all the mistakes like you would like. But and what I do, I try to divide this up like a checkerboard. One piece, one piece, one piece, maybe 5 or 6 pieces, rather than just skipping all over the place. And each time I get one piece done, and I think it's done. Let's see here. Once I see I don't have any real shiny spots, I can move on to the next, the little shiny spot down here. And once we have this whole part basically looking flat and dull, we'll be ready for some primer. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, one of the unique qualities anything silver has, it shows mistakes. Like black, very prone to show mistakes. So any little imperfections, I want to get all their edges, radius, inside the scoop here. Any place that we miss is going to be prone to having an issue. So at this point, it looks like I'll be able to get this in primer today, and then I like to let the primer dry overnight. I always like that. But when we used to paint model planes and trying to get a perfect show-winning finish, you would always paint them in silver and then sand the silver down, actually using the silver as a filler coat. That was always one of the tricks to winning that elusive concourse award. And actually on the model airplane part of my videos, it documents how to do that probably 100 times. But because this is silver, I know you'll see every little mistake. So I'm being really fussy about this. And when we do Vlad's track bike parts, we will not be quite this fussy, but even then, we will want them to look halfway decent. And that's part of, I'm not sure people have even picked up on it, but that's part of the enjoyment, I guess is the right word, of doing quality work. You know, you go to bed at night and you know you're not going to have something crazy happen. And we always taking shortcuts and leaving out steps and God knows what. You go to bed at night, you never know if the phone's going to ring and, ah, my Bondo fell out. This ain't going to work, but I just wanted to do this, the soft block over this. And of course, we'd always like our part, when we put it next to the factory part, to look better than the factory part. And I guess that's part of the reward, is knowing we can out factory the factory at will. We can outdo the Ferrari factory. When I had looked at my bike next to the silver Ferrari that was on Perkins last year, paint on my bike was better than that Ferrari, so I'm not sure they would agree though. And I'm not prejudiced, believe me. I'm not prejudiced, please. All right, enough with the nonsense. We gotta wipe this down, prep wall it, get it ready, and get it primed. Detailing out this part, I noticed, among other things, there's a big giant paint run. Let me show this. This is something I'll get out. It's probably a part you wouldn't really see. It's in the scoops, but as long as we're going to do it, I always feel like it's always worth doing it right. And I can get in there, take me 5 minutes, and we won't have a run in the scoops. Now, if the people at BENELLI did the level of sanding and preparing and everything we did, but then the bike would be even more money. Not like these bikes are a bargain anyway. And you would think for all this money you pay, you'd be buying a Rolex watch, but not always the case. By the way, there's a really neat, and just because I'm working on this BENELLI, I've been watching a lot of the YouTube BENELLIs, and there's a supercharged BENELLI, I'm not sure what, it's a sponsored bike. And they did a very cool thing. They went out on a track day with this supercharged bike. And the guy, this is funny. Wait, let me pick this up. The guy's obviously a professional rider. And he goes out on a track day with guys learning how to ride. And you can see from the way they're cornering, they're not experienced, right? They're not expert riders. And he's just riding by, blowing by them, and I'm thinking, yeah, some rookie would buy into this, but Boy, that's truth in advertising. Put him out there with Lorenzo. You want to build a supercharged Benelli? That's kind of false advertising. And anybody that's ever done track days knows what it feels like to have somebody that's three skill levels higher than you out there. It's dangerous for him too that he doesn't run you over. Anyway, glad we even got inside the scoops for you here. So if the bike goes end over end into the bushes on one of your track days as you're passing a supercharged Benelli. By the way, there are a lot of interesting Benelli videos out on YouTube too. I shouldn't say anything, but there really are. Oh, we got rid of that run. It's all about pride and workmanship. It's all about pride. Now, another funny thing, anybody will remember, it goes back with my videos for 10, 15 years. We've been doing videos since '87, by the way. So this is a funny thing. We used to be able to buy Sikkens M600 as a degreasing to do just what I'm doing right now. Well, in New Jersey, you can't buy it thanks to our lovely government. And of course, Nancy Pelosi can fly her jet around burning M600, but we can't. Poor people can't. So anyway, to make a long story short, I had stockpiled up some M600 years ago because it was such an incredible, if you do look at any of the old airplane videos, we used gallons of it. And it was so good. Now the reason it was good is right now, and this is the replacement, this is what I call the dishwater replacement. Whenever the government gets involved in anything, they come up with their own, you can't put this, can't put that, can't put this. This really is nothing like M600. Vlad did buy that gallon, and it was very disappointing how bad the product is, but I'm sure it's environmentally friendly. Anyway, if you can get some M600, stockpile it before Nancy Pelosi outlaws it. Even probably it's even outlawed in California. I got to ask John. But anyway, the M600 would dry in a nanosecond. This will be on a rag for 2 hours, and it's that ability to dry quickly that pulls up the grease. Anyway, we're ready for primer. Let's see if it's raining or what out there. Now this is the first coat of primer that we're going to put on. What's going to happen is we want to have this dry overnight, and then there's a couple little spots on here we want to address. I want to make sure that this is perfectly flat, so that decal, which is a focal feature of the bike, we don't have that look ratty or anything. We got rid of the run and the scoop. We need to do a little sanding more over our carbon fiber there. That's no big deal. But I think we've saved another puppy from the puppy hound. Anyway, all I have to say is thanks for watching. And in the next video, we'll get the prime finished, get the silver on, get the decal from Vlad, and hopefully move on to the next project.